10,
CLS go for main engine start.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and booster ignition, liftoff of Space Shuttle Discovery. Taking the space.
Every civilization, from the first humans who gazed up at the night sky to the modern physicists peering through their telescopes, has asked the same question: how far can we go? So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here and tell me in the comments where you are and what time it is right now. I always find it fascinating to see our little community scattered across the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. It is the question that humbles, terrifies, and inspires. The moon was once unthinkable. Mars was once unreachable. The planets were once wandering gods. The stars were once holes punched in the sky. And yet, here we are, standing on a small rock orbiting an ordinary star, asking whether our reach can ever extend beyond our cradle. But before we talk about the future, before we imagine starships and distant worlds, we must confront an uncomfortable truth. Right now, today, in reality, our reach is astonishingly small. Not small by human standards, small by cosmic ones. To understand how far we can travel through space right now, we must strip away fantasy, science fiction, and hopeful speculation. We must look at what we can actually do, not what we dream of doing, and the answer is far more sobering than most people realize. We live in an age of satellites, rockets, space stations, and planetary probes. Images of Mars arrive daily. Space feels close, familiar, almost routine. But that familiarity is an illusion created by screens and scale. In reality, space is not nearby. It is not accessible. It is not forgiving. Space is vast beyond comprehension, and we have barely stepped into it. The difference between what we see and what we can touch defines the true boundary of human travel. And that boundary is shockingly close to home. Let's state the fact plainly, because it matters. The farthest humans have ever traveled from Earth is the moon. That's it. Not Mars, not an asteroid, not deep space, just the moon. In 1968, during the Apollo 8 mission, humans first left Earth orbit and circled the moon. In 1969, they landed on its surface. Between 1968 and 1972, 12 human beings walked on another world. That distance, approximately 385,400 kilometers, remains the greatest physical separation any human body has ever experienced from Earth. No one has gone farther since. Not once. More than half a century later, we are still closer to those first astronauts than to anything beyond them. This is not because we lack imagination. It is because space resists us at every level. Most human space travel today happens within a narrow shell surrounding Earth. The International Space Station orbits roughly 400 kilometers above the planet's surface. Astronauts aboard it circle Earth every 90 minutes, floating in microgravity, protected by constant resupply missions. This region, low Earth orbit, is where humanity is most capable, most experienced, and most comfortable. But in cosmic terms, it is nothing. If Earth were the size of a basketball, the ISS would orbit just a few millimeters above its surface. We have not escaped Earth's influence. We have barely stepped off its skin. Low Earth orbit is still dominated by Earth's gravity, Earth's magnetic field, Earth's radiation shielding, Earth's constant resupply capability. Remove any of these, and human survival becomes drastically more difficult, which is exactly what happens the moment we leave Earth orbit. The Apollo missions were not routine, they were not easy, they were not safe. They were one of the most dangerous technological gambles in human history. To reach the moon, astronauts had to cross the Van Allen radiation belts, regions of trapped charged particles that can damage DNA and electronics. They had to survive days in deep space without Earth's magnetic shield. They had to land on a surface with no atmosphere, no rescue capability, and no margin for error. Every Apollo mission balanced on a knife's edge. One mistake meant death. And when the program ended in 1972, humanity stepped back, not because it had solved the problem, but because the cost, risk, and political will evaporated. We never built a permanent lunar base. We never established deep space infrastructure. We never made the leap sustainable, so our greatest reach froze in time. Why can't we go farther right now? The answer begins with our bodies. Humans evolved under one set of conditions: 1G gravity, a thick atmosphere, a magnetic shield, stable temperatures, constant access to food and water. Space strips these protections away one by one. In microgravity, bones lose density, muscles weaken, the heart reshapes, vision deteriorates, blood redistributes, the immune system falters, radiation damages DNA, increasing cancer risk and accelerating aging. Solar flares can deliver lethal doses in hours. Psychologically, isolation and confinement erode mental stability. Even trained astronauts struggle after months in orbit. Now imagine years, or decades, or generations. Our bodies are not built for it, not yet. Distance in space is not linear, it is exponential. The moon feels far until you look outward. Mars, at its closest approach, is 56 million kilometers away. At its farthest, over 400 million kilometers. A trip to Mars takes 6 to 9 months one way with current propulsion, and that is still within the solar system's inner neighborhood. Beyond Mars lie distances so vast that traditional intuition collapses. Jupiter, FAP 5, AU from the Sun, Saturn, Sun 9 AU, Neptune, 30 AU, Pluto, 40 AU, and beyond Pluto, the solar system doesn't end, it just fades. Here is where confusion often arises. People hear about probes leaving the solar system and assume humanity is close behind. We are not. Robots can survive conditions humans cannot. Extreme radiation, decades without maintenance, near absolute zero temperatures, complete isolation. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 have traveled over 24 billion kilometers from Earth. They have crossed the heliopause into interstellar space. But even they are barely moving on a galactic scale. And no human could survive that journey. Not with today's technology, not with today's biology, not with today's understanding. Robotic travel is not human travel. They are fundamentally different categories. The nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, is 4.2 light-years away. Light itself, moving at the fastest speed allowed by the universe, takes over 4 years to get there. Our fastest spacecraft would take tens of thousands of years. This is not a problem of ambition. It is a problem of physics. Chemical rockets, the backbone of all current space travel, are simply too slow. To reach even a fraction of light speed would require energy outputs comparable to entire civilizations. We do not have that capability, not yet. So where does that leave us? Let's summarize reality as it exists right now. Humans can reliably travel to low Earth orbit. Humans have historically traveled to the moon. Humans cannot currently travel beyond lunar distance. Robots can explore the solar system. No human has ever left Earth's immediate neighborhood. Interstellar travel remains entirely theoretical for humans. This is not a failure. It is a starting point. There is a strange tension in modern humanity. We can see the universe in exquisite detail. We can model black holes. We can detect planets orbiting distant suns. We can listen to the echo of the Big Bang. And yet, physically, we remain bound to Earth. We are a species with cosmic awareness, but planetary reach. That gap creates frustration, and longing, and myth. Science fiction fills the space between where we are and where we want to be. But reality moves slower. Understanding how far we can travel right now matters because it grounds everything that comes next. Without this honesty, future plans become fantasy, expectations become distorted, progress feels like failure. But when we accept our true position, something powerful happens. We see the scale of the challenge. We understand the patience required. We appreciate how extraordinary even small steps truly are. Reaching orbit was not trivial. Reaching the moon was not inevitable. Surviving in space at all is a miracle of engineering. Every kilometer beyond Earth is earned. Right now, humanity stands on the edge of its first true frontier. Not the edge of the galaxy, not the edge of the stars, the edge of Earth. We are not yet a spacefaring civilization. We are a planet-bound species with tools that are just beginning to break free. The question is no longer whether we will go farther. The question is how long it will take and what we will become along the way. And that question leads us to the next section, because before we ask how far we will travel, we must understand what stops us. If distance were the only problem, humanity would have solved space travel long ago. We know how to build machines that move. We know how to calculate trajectories. We know how to aim for worlds millions of kilometers away and hit them with astonishing precision. And yet, despite all this knowledge, space remains a wall we cannot cross. Not because we lack courage, not because we lack intelligence, but because space is not merely empty. Space is actively hostile to life. To understand how far we can travel right now, we must understand why space fights us at every step, why every kilometer beyond Earth is paid for with risk, energy, and sacrifice. This section is not about dreams, it is about resistance. On Earth, distance has meaning. 1,000 kilometers is a long drive. 10,000 kilometers spans continents. 40,000 kilometers circles the planet. But in space, these numbers collapse into irrelevance. The distance from Earth to the Moon, nearly 400,000 kilometers, feels enormous to us. It took days to cross during Apollo missions, and every second of that journey carried danger. Yet that same distance is insignificant compared to what lies beyond. Mars is tens of millions of kilometers away. Jupiter is hundreds of millions. Neptune is billions. And the nearest star, trillions. This is not a gradual increase. It is an exponential explosion of scale. Our brains evolved to navigate forests, plains, and coastlines, not interstellar voids. We instinctively underestimate cosmic distance, imagining space as a large version of Earth's geography. It is not. It is something else entirely. On Earth, time bends to our will. We compress travel with speed. We conquer distance with engines. We turn weeks into hours and oceans into flights. In space, time reasserts its dominance. Even at extraordinary speeds, travel takes months, years, or lifetimes. There are no shortcuts, no refueling stations, no safe harbors. A journey to Mars is not just long, it is uninterruptible. Once launched, there is no turning back without catastrophic cost. For astronauts, time becomes a prison, months confined to small volumes, delayed communication with Earth. No immediate rescue, no external intervention. The farther you go, the longer you are alone. And isolation is not just uncomfortable, it is dangerous. Space is often described as empty. That description is misleading. The vacuum of space is not neutral, it is destructive. Without pressure, liquids boil. Without atmosphere, heat escapes uncontrollably. Without protection, radiation floods in. The human body is built around balance. Pressure inside, pressure outside. Remove that balance, and survival becomes a countdown. A human exposed to vacuum does not freeze instantly, as movies suggest. Instead, oxygen escapes the bloodstream. Saliva boils. Lungs collapse. Consciousness fades within seconds. Space does not kill dramatically. It kills quietly and efficiently. Every spacecraft is a fragile bubble of pressure, one puncture away from catastrophe. On Earth, we live beneath an invisible shield. The magnetic field deflects charged particles. The atmosphere absorbs cosmic radiation. The sun's worst outbursts are softened before they reach us. Leave Earth, and that shield vanishes. In deep space, radiation is constant and relentless. Galactic cosmic rays, solar particle events, high-energy protons, and heavy ions. These particles pass through flesh, damaging DNA, disrupting cells, increasing cancer risk, and accelerating aging. Radiation is cumulative. A Mars mission would expose astronauts to many times the radiation dose of a lifetime on Earth. A journey beyond Mars would push those limits further, into territory we barely understand. There is no known material that can fully block this radiation without adding enormous mass. And mass is the enemy of propulsion. Gravity is not optional. It shapes every system in the human body. Bones strengthen under load. Muscles maintain tension. The heart pumps against resistance. The brain orients itself through balance. In microgravity, these systems unravel. Astronauts experience bone density loss, muscle atrophy, cardiovascular weakening, vision impairment, fluid shifts toward the head, immune system suppression. Even with daily exercise, these effects accumulate. Months in orbit are manageable. Years become dangerous. Decades are uncharted. Without artificial gravity, long-distance human travel remains biologically unsustainable. Movement through space demands energy, vast amounts of it. To escape Earth's gravity alone requires incredible force. To maintain speed over millions of kilometers requires sustained propulsion. Chemical rockets, the only technology we currently possess at scale, are inefficient. Most of their mass is fuel. Most of that fuel is spent lifting more fuel. This creates a vicious cycle. To go farther, you need more fuel, which makes the ship heavier, which requires even more fuel. This is why interstellar travel with chemical rockets is effectively impossible. Every advanced propulsion concept, fusion, antimatter, light sails, remains experimental or theoretical. Without a breakthrough in energy generation and propulsion, humanity remains trapped close to home. On Earth, life support is invisible. Air is everywhere. Water cycles naturally. Food grows in abundance. Waste disappears into ecosystems. In space, life support must be engineered. Every breath must be recycled. Every drop of water reclaimed. Every gram of food planned years in advance. A failure in any system, air, water, temperature, becomes lethal. The longer the mission, the higher the chance of failure. This is why current human missions are measured in months, not years. Sustainability over decades remains beyond our capability. Space is not only physically hostile, it is mentally unforgiving. Isolation, confinement, monotony, and separation from Earth place enormous strain on the human mind. Even highly trained astronauts experience depression, anxiety, sleep disorders, cognitive decline, interpersonal conflict. On Earth, stress has outlets. In space, there is nowhere to go. A mission to Mars would require crews to endure isolation longer than any expedition in human history. A journey beyond that would demand psychological resilience we have never tested. On Earth, mistakes can often be corrected. In space, mistakes are final. There is no roadside assistance, no emergency landing, no immediate rescue. Every system must work. Every decision must be correct. Every failure must be survivable. The farther you go, the more autonomy you need, and the less margin for error you have. This is why space exploration progresses cautiously, step by step. Not because we are timid, but because space does not forgive recklessness. Perhaps the greatest enemy of all is scale. Not distance alone, not time alone, but the sheer mismatch between human scale and cosmic scale. Our lives are measured in decades. The universe moves in billions of years. Our bodies are meters tall. The galaxy spans 100,000 light years. Our strongest engines push tons. Stars output more energy than civilizations. We are small, not metaphorically, physically. And space constantly reminds us of that fact. Understanding these barriers is not pessimism, it is clarity. Only by confronting the true nature of space can humanity design a path forward. Every future breakthrough, artificial gravity, radiation shielding, advanced propulsion, exists to fight one of these enemies, and every kilometer we travel is a victory against them. Right now, these barriers define our limit. They confine us to Earth orbit and occasionally to the Moon. They explain why Mars remains unvisited by humans. why the outer planets are unreachable, why the stars remain distant points of light. We are not stalled, we are learning, but the road ahead is long. If space is so hostile, if distance, time, biology, and physics all stand against us, then how did we ever leave Earth at all? How did we reach orbit? How did we reach the moon? And what does that tell us about the next step? That is the story of how we overcame the
T-minus
first
5,
barriers.
4,
And that story begins
3,
with rockets.
2,
Every
1.
great leap in human history
Booster ignition
began with a crude
and liftoff
tool.
of Discovery,
Stone axes
hoisting
were not
harmony
elegant.
to the heavens,
Wooden ships
and
were not
opening new
safe.
gateways for
Early
international
airplanes
science.
were not reliable, but they were enough. Enough to cross rivers, enough to cross oceans, enough to leave the ground. And rockets, violent, inefficient, and unforgiving, are the tool that allowed humanity to do something no species had ever done before: escape the grip of its home planet, not gently, not gracefully, but by force. Before humanity could even think about how far it could travel through space, it had to confront a single overwhelming obstacle: gravity. Earth is not just a place we live on. It is a well we live inside, a deep gravitational well that pulls everything toward its center with relentless consistency. Every mountain, every ocean, every breath of air is held in place by that invisible force. To leave Earth is not simply to go upward. It is to climb out of a pit, 11.2 kilometers per second deep. That number, known as escape velocity, is the first hard limit on space travel. Anything slower falls back. Anything faster is free. No compromise exists. On Earth, movement usually relies on pushing against something. Wheels push against roads, boats push against water, planes push against air. But in space, there is nothing to push against. No air, no surface, no resistance. This is why rockets are so counterintuitive and so powerful. They do not push against space, they push against themselves. By throwing mass backward at extreme speed, a rocket moves forward. It obeys Newton's third law with brutal simplicity. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is why rockets work in a vacuum. And this is why they are fundamentally inefficient. Every rocket ever built is governed by a single equation, an equation so unforgiving that it defines the limits of space travel more than any political decision or technological delay. The Tsiolkovsky rocket equation. It tells us one brutal truth. To go faster, you must carry exponentially more fuel. Not linearly, not gradually, exponentially. This means that most of a rocket's mass is not payload, not crew, not science. It is fuel, burned just to lift more fuel. A Saturn V rocket stood 110 meters tall. Over 85% of its mass was fuel. All that fire, all that violence, just to put a few humans on a nearby rock. And this inefficiency does not disappear. As distances increase, it becomes worse. When Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space in 1961, he did not conquer the cosmos. He barely escaped Earth. His flight lasted 108 minutes. His orbit never rose higher than a few hundred kilometers. His spacecraft had no real control systems. If anything went wrong, he would die. And yet, it worked. For the first time in history, a living being crossed the invisible boundary where Earth's atmosphere fades into vacuum. That boundary, known as the Kármán line, marks the symbolic edge of space. Crossing it did not make humanity a spacefaring civilization, but it proved something essential. Escape was possible. The Apollo missions represent the absolute peak of what chemical rockets can accomplish with humans aboard. To reach the moon, a spacecraft must: 1. Escape Earth's gravity. 2. Enter translunar orbit. 3. Break into lunar orbit. 4. Descend to the surface. 5. Launch again. 6. Return to Earth. 7. Survive re-entry. Every step consumes fuel. Every step adds mass. Every step compounds risk. The Saturn V remains the most powerful rocket ever flown, not because we chose not to build stronger ones, but because doing so becomes increasingly impractical. Apollo succeeded not because rockets were perfect, but because engineers accepted their limits and designed within them. That acceptance defines how far we can go right now. The moment you aim beyond the moon, rockets begin to show their true limitations. A Mars mission requires more fuel, longer life support, radiation shielding, redundant systems, greater reliability. Each requirement increases mass. Each increase in mass requires more fuel, and that fuel must be launched from Earth at enormous cost. This feedback loop makes human missions beyond the moon incredibly difficult, not because we lack the will, but because rockets scale poorly. The farther you want to go, the heavier the ship becomes. The heavier the ship becomes, the harder it is to launch. The harder it is to launch, the more fuel you need. Eventually, the equation breaks. Let's look at reality. The fastest spacecraft ever launched, Parker Solar Probe, achieved speeds of about 190 kilometers per second at perihelion, falling toward the Sun. Impressive, but even at that speed, it would take 6,700 years to reach the nearest star. It would take millions of years to cross the galaxy. Rockets simply do not move fast enough. They cannot, not with chemical propulsion. This question comes up often. Why not bigger rockets? Why not more fuel? Why not better engines? Because physics does not care about ambition. Chemical rockets are already near their theoretical maximum efficiency. You can tweak designs, improve materials, and optimize trajectories, but you cannot change the fundamental energy stored in chemical bonds. To go meaningfully farther, you need entirely different kinds of engines. And that is where rockets stop being enough. Every rocket launch is expensive, not just in money, but in infrastructure, energy, and risk. Launch facilities, fuel production, precision engineering, weather constraints, environmental cost. This is why space travel has not become routine. Even with reusable rockets, the economics remain punishing. Rockets are marvels of physics, but terrible vehicles for sustained exploration. They are ladders built from explosions. Robots tolerate acceleration humans cannot. They do not need food. They do not need air. They do not care about radiation. This is why rockets have carried machines far beyond where humans can go. Voyagers, Pioneers, New Horizons, all were launched by rockets. But those rockets only gave them an initial push. After that, they coasted for decades. Human missions cannot rely on coasting alone. People need systems, and systems add mass. Rockets are not the future of interstellar travel. They are the door. They are the first step, violent, expensive, and limited. They allow us to reach orbit, reach the moon, launch probes, test systems, learn how space behaves. They are the foundation, but not the destination. Every kilometer we've traveled so far exists because rockets were just good enough. When we ask how far we can travel through space right now, rockets give us the honest boundary. They tell us, humans can reach orbit, humans can reach the moon, humans cannot sustainably go farther. Robots can go much farther, but slowly. This is not a failure, it is a phase. Rockets teach humility. They teach us that force alone is not enough. That brute power hits diminishing returns. That escaping Earth is easier than escaping physics. They remind us that progress is incremental, not exponential. And they point toward a future that requires something new. If rockets are too slow, too inefficient, too limited, then what comes next? What kind of propulsion could actually take us farther, faster, without drowning us in fuel? That question leads beyond chemistry, beyond fire, beyond explosions. It leads us to engines that burn not molecules, but atoms. And that story begins with nuclear power. Every age of exploration has been defined by a new source of power. Wooden ships rode the wind, steamships burned coal, aircraft drank liquid fuel, and when humanity finally reached for the stars, it did so with fire. Chemical fire, brief and furious, exploding just long enough to lift us off the Earth. But chemical fire was never meant to take us far. From the very beginning of the space age, scientists understood a hard truth. If humanity ever hoped to travel deeper into space, past the moon, past Mars, past the outer planets, rockets would not be enough. The solution was obvious. The solution was terrifying. The solution already existed: nuclear power. To understand why nuclear propulsion matters, we must first confront the staggering gap between chemical and nuclear energy. Chemical rockets rely on rearranging electrons in molecules. Nuclear reactions rearrange the nucleus itself. The difference is not incremental. It is millions of times greater. A kilogram of chemical fuel releases energy measured in megajoules. A kilogram of nuclear fuel releases energy measured in terajoules. This is not an improvement. It is a different category of power. And in space, where mass is the enemy and efficiency is survival, energy density is everything. Even before the first satellite was launched, physicists already knew that nuclear propulsion could outperform chemical rockets by orders of magnitude. In the 1950s and 1960s, as Cold War tensions fueled rapid technological advancement, the United States began serious research into nuclear-powered spacecraft. The logic was simple: less fuel, higher efficiency, faster travel, longer missions. For the first time, Mars seemed reachable within reasonable timeframes. Not years, but months. The outer planets seemed achievable within a human lifetime. Interstellar precursors no longer sounded absurd. The most infamous nuclear propulsion concept was Project Orion. It was as brilliant as it was horrifying. The idea was simple in principle. Instead of burning fuel internally, the spacecraft would ride the shockwaves of nuclear explosions detonated behind it. A massive steel pusher plate would absorb the force. Shock absorbers would smooth the impact. Each explosion would push the ship forward, one bomb at a time. This was not science fiction. It was rigorously studied physics. An Orion spacecraft could, in theory, lift thousands of tons into space, reach a significant fraction of light speed, carry entire cities' worth of payload. For the first time, human interstellar travel appeared physically possible, and that is exactly why it was never built. The environmental cost of detonating nuclear bombs during launch alone was unacceptable. The political consequences were unthinkable. And the psychological impact of normalizing nuclear explosions for transportation was too great. Orion was abandoned, but the lesson remained. Nuclear power could take us farther than anything else we knew. Unlike Orion, nuclear thermal propulsion was quiet, controlled, civilized. Instead of explosions, a nuclear reactor would heat hydrogen propellant to extreme temperatures, then expel it through a nozzle. No combustion, no chemical reactions, just pure thermal energy. The result: twice the efficiency of chemical rockets, higher thrust than electric propulsion, shorter travel times to Mars and beyond. In the 1960s, the NERVA program successfully tested nuclear thermal engines on Earth. They worked. They worked well. By the late 1960s, nuclear rockets were closer to flight readiness than many systems we use today. Then something happened. Nuclear power carries baggage: fear of radiation, fear of accidents, fear of contamination, fear of political backlash. As public sentiment shifted and budgets tightened, nuclear propulsion lost its momentum. The moon had been reached. The urgency faded. The risks no longer seemed worth it. Programs were cancelled. Research stalled. Knowledge scattered. Humanity chose caution over capability, and space travel slowed. If nuclear thermal rockets were deployed today, the difference would be immediate and dramatic. A Mars mission could be shortened by months, reducing radiation exposure and psychological strain. Heavier shielding could be carried without penalty. Abort options would increase, making missions safer. The outer planets would become reachable with crewed flybys. Nuclear propulsion would not make us interstellar, but it would break the psychological barrier of deep space. It would expand our reachable territory by orders of magnitude. Another path exists, one that trades speed for endurance. Nuclear electric propulsion uses a reactor to generate electricity, which powers ion engines. Ion engines produce tiny thrust, but they can run continuously for years. This method is already in use, though usually powered by solar panels instead of reactors. With nuclear power, these engines could operate far from the sun, accelerating spacecraft to incredible speeds over long periods. They would not launch from Earth, but once in space, they would outperform chemical rockets over time. The obstacles are not technical, they are political and cultural. Launch safety concerns, international treaties, public fear of nuclear accidents, cost and regulatory complexity. Even though nuclear reactors have been safely used in space for decades, on probes, rovers, and satellites, the word nuclear still triggers hesitation. And hesitation, in space exploration, is inertia. Here is the paradox. Nuclear propulsion could actually make space travel safer. Shorter trips mean less radiation exposure. More power means stronger shielding. Greater efficiency means more redundancy. Yet fear keeps us using weaker, riskier systems. We are afraid of the very tool that could protect us. Despite hesitation, nuclear energy has never truly left space. Radioisotope thermoelectric generators, RTGs, have powered missions like Voyager, Cassini, Curiosity, Perseverance. These missions ventured where solar power fails. They lasted decades. They proved that nuclear systems can be reliable, safe, and indispensable. And yet, we stop short of using nuclear power for propulsion itself. With nuclear propulsion, humanity could realistically establish sustained human presence on Mars, send crewed missions to asteroids, explore Jupiter's moons with human oversight, reach the Kuiper Belt within a lifetime, still not the stars, but far enough to change how we see ourselves, far enough to make the solar system feel like territory, not myth. Even nuclear power does not break the ultimate barrier. It does not approach light speed. It does not shrink interstellar distances to human scales. It does not free us from time, but it buys us reach. And reach is the first step toward belonging. Every generation believes it stands on the edge of something greater. But edges are not crossed by belief alone. They are crossed by decisions. Humanity has, so far, chosen restraint, not because nuclear propulsion is impossible, but because it forces us to confront our relationship with power. If nuclear fire can take us across the solar system, if it can cut months into weeks, if it can carry us farther than chemical rockets ever could, then what still holds us back? The answer is not physics. It is the human body itself. Because no matter how powerful our engines become, they still must carry fragile creatures evolved for Earth. And that leads to the next barrier: biology. Every story of space travel eventually confronts an uncomfortable truth. Rockets can be redesigned, engines can be upgraded, fuel can be optimized, but the human body remains stubbornly unchanged. It is a fragile machine shaped by gravity, sunlight, liquid water, and a narrow band of temperature and pressure. Every cell in our bodies carries the memory of Earth, encoded not in culture, but in biology. Space does not care. It does not adapt to us. It does not forgive. It does not compromise. And no matter how powerful our technology becomes, every journey into deep space must carry this ancient, vulnerable organism with it. We often speak of Earth as a planet, but for the human body, Earth is an active machine. Gravity keeps our bones dense and our muscles strong. The magnetic field shields us from radiation. The atmosphere filters lethal particles and regulates temperature. The day-night cycle calibrates our hormones and sleep. We evolved inside this system. Remove even one of these components, and the body begins to fail. Space removes all of them at once. The first enemy astronauts encounter is not distance. It is weightlessness. In microgravity, the body quickly realizes it no longer needs to fight gravity, and it responds by dismantling itself. Muscles atrophy. Bones lose calcium. The heart weakens. Astronauts can lose 1 to 2% of bone density per month in space. This is not cosmetic loss. It is structural damage, similar to severe osteoporosis. Even with daily exercise, the body cannot fully compensate. Evolution never prepared us for a world without weight. On Earth, the heart works against gravity to pump blood upward. In space, blood redistributes toward the head. Faces puff up, legs thin. Pressure changes alter vision. Over time, the heart adapts to this easier workload by becoming weaker. When astronauts return to Earth, many experience dizziness, fainting, and difficulty standing. Some cannot walk without assistance. The body has forgotten gravity. One of the most alarming discoveries in long-duration spaceflight came quietly. Astronauts began returning with permanent vision changes. The cause? Fluid shifts in microgravity that increase pressure behind the eyes, flattening the eyeball. This condition, spaceflight-associated neuroocular syndrome, was unknown before extended missions. The longer humans stay in space, the greater the risk, and no one yet knows the long-term consequences of decades away from gravity. Beyond Earth's magnetic field lies a relentless storm: cosmic radiation, solar particle events, high-energy ions traveling near light speed. On Earth, we are shielded. In deep space, we are exposed. Radiation damages DNA. It increases cancer risk. It accelerates aging. It affects cognition. A round trip to Mars could expose astronauts to radiation levels approaching career lifetime limits. A journey beyond Mars would exceed them. Unlike fuel or oxygen, radiation cannot be refilled, filtered, or repaired. Damage accumulates silently. Space does not only attack the body, it attacks the mind. Months of confinement, years without fresh air, no natural horizons, no seasons, no escape. The human brain evolved for movement, variety, and social contact. In deep space, monotony becomes a psychological stressor. Sleep cycles drift, mood disorders emerge, cognitive performance declines. On Earth, isolation is optional. In space, it is unavoidable. Even if we solved radiation and gravity, time remains. The human lifespan is short. Mars missions already stretch the limits of human endurance. Missions to the outer planets would require decades. Interstellar travel would demand generations. Human bodies are not built for multi-decade confinement. Cells age, organs degrade, minds change. Space does not pause aging. Long-term survival beyond Earth would require reproduction. But we do not know if human reproduction is even possible in space. Microgravity affects embryonic development. Radiation damages reproductive cells. Fetal development depends on gravity cues. No human has ever been conceived, carried, or born in space. Until this is understood, humanity cannot truly become a spacefaring species. Rotating habitats could simulate gravity. Centrifugal force could preserve bone and muscle health. But such structures are massive, complex, and untested at scale. We have never built one large enough to house a permanent population. The engineering is possible, the cost is enormous, and even artificial gravity does nothing to stop radiation or aging. This is the central contradiction of space travel. Technology is advancing faster than biology. We can design engines capable of reaching Mars with ease, but we cannot redesign the human body without ethical, philosophical, and biological consequences. Every mission is a negotiation between what machines can do and what humans can survive. Robots do not need air. They do not need sleep. They do not fear isolation. They do not age. They can travel for decades. They can survive radiation. They can hibernate. This is why every truly distant mission has been robotic. Voyager, New Horizons, Pioneer. Robots are not braver. They are simply better suited. Some propose changing ourselves. Genetic modification, cybernetic enhancement, artificial organs. If humans are not suited for space, perhaps we must evolve, intentionally. This raises questions no engine can answer. What remains human? Who decides the modifications? Where does survival end and transformation begin? Space forces us to confront not just how far we can go, but what we are willing to become. The greatest challenge of space travel is not distance, it is compatibility. Space is not hostile in the emotional sense. It is indifferent, and indifference is far more dangerous. As long as the human body remains unchanged, interstellar travel is fantasy, multi-decade missions are impractical, permanent off-world civilization remains uncertain. We are explorers trapped in Earth-shaped bodies. Every future path splits in two directions. 1. Adapt space to humans. 2. Adapt humans to space. Both are costly, both are risky, both redefine civilization. When people imagine space travel, they picture stars, planets, and ships. Rarely do they picture bones thinning, cells mutating, minds straining. But this is the true cost. Not fuel, not money, not distance. The cost is the human body itself. If engines are no longer the limit, if distance can be crossed with enough time, if the body is the weakest link, then the next question becomes unavoidable. Can we survive long enough to matter? That question leads us to the most uncomfortable frontier of all: time, mortality, and the speed of the universe itself. Every conversation about space travel eventually reaches a point of silence. It happens after the engines are discussed, after propulsion systems are optimized, after radiation shielding is calculated, after the human body is stretched to its limits. The silence arrives when someone asks the question no technology can dodge. How long will it take? Because distance alone does not stop us. Fuel alone does not stop us. Even biology, with enough ingenuity, might one day be negotiated. But time is different. Time does not negotiate. We are taught to think of space as vast, but vastness is only half the truth. The real cruelty of the universe is not how far things are apart. It is how slowly anything can move between them. Light travels at the fastest speed allowed by reality itself. Nothing with mass can reach it. Nothing can exceed it. This is not a technological limitation. It is a law written into the structure of the universe. And when distances are measured in light years, speed becomes destiny. At first glance, our solar system feels reachable. The Moon takes 3 days, Mars takes months, Jupiter takes years. These times are already long by human standards, but they are still imaginable. You can pack supplies for months. You can endure years with planning. The illusion is subtle, because once you leave the solar system, time explodes. The closest star system to Earth, Alpha Centauri, is 4.37 light-years away. That number sounds small. It is not. At the speed of the fastest spacecraft ever built, the journey would take tens of thousands of years. Not generations. Civilizations. Empires would rise and fall while the ship was still en route. Languages would evolve. Continents would shift. Species would disappear. The travelers would be long dead. There is a temptation to believe relativity saves us. At near light speed, time slows down for the traveler. This is true, but the catch is brutal. To approach light speed requires infinite energy for any object with mass. Every increment of speed becomes exponentially more expensive. Relativity does not eliminate time. It transfers the cost elsewhere. And even if we could approach light speed, the universe outside the ship would continue aging. You might arrive young, but everything you left behind would be ancient. This is the quiet horror of relativistic travel. It is not death, it is disconnection. You could leave Earth and return to find everyone you knew gone, cultures unrecognizable, history rewritten without you. You would be a time refugee, alive but displaced. Human lives are short. Even optimistic projections stretch us to a century. Deep space travel laughs at such limits. Mars pushes the edge. The outer planets exceed it. The stars obliterate it. Any journey beyond the solar system requires one of 3 things. 1. Lifespans far longer than biology allows. 2. Suspended animation or hibernation. 3. Generation ships. None of these are trivial. All of them redefine what travel even means. The idea is seductive. Put travelers to sleep. Slow their metabolism. Pause aging. But biology does not pause cleanly. Cells degrade, brains require activity, muscles waste away. Even animals that hibernate do so for months, not decades. We do not know how to safely suspend a human for centuries. And if we did, would the person who wakes still be the same one who left? Generation ships avoid the lifespan problem by abandoning the idea of return. Children are born on board. They live entire lives inside the vessel. They die before arrival. The destination becomes myth. Earth becomes legend. This is not travel. It is colonization by inheritance. The people who arrive are not explorers. They are descendants of explorers who never chose the journey. Time is not just duration. It is meaning. A journey that takes a lifetime destroys motivation. Why endure hardship for a reward you will never see? Why sacrifice everything for a future you will not inhabit? Human psychology evolved around immediate horizons, not cosmic ones. Robots do not fear time. They do not grow impatient. They do not mourn lost decades. They do not need purpose beyond function. This is why our longest journeys belong to machines. Voyager has traveled for over 45 years and will continue long after Earth forgets it. For robots, time is irrelevant. For humans, it is everything. Every civilization that dreams of the stars eventually confronts the same trap. To travel farther, you must go faster. To go faster, you need more energy. To get more energy, you need mass. More mass slows you down. This feedback loop is merciless. Time wins every iteration. Wormholes, warp drives, faster than light travel. These ideas persist because they offer escape. But none have experimental evidence. None have engineering pathways. All violate known physics in one way or another. They are not solutions, they are hopes. And hope does not move spacecraft. Distance can be crossed with enough energy. Hostile environments can be engineered around. Even biology might one day be altered. But time is baked into the universe. It expands space itself. It ages everything. It separates cause from effect. You cannot outrun it. Humanity may one day map the entire galaxy, but it will not be done by travelers hopping between stars. It will be done by probes, signals, artificial minds, slowly spreading information. The universe will be known, but not walked. We are not trapped by ignorance. We are trapped by scale. The universe is not built for creatures who live decades. It is built for processes that unfold over eons. Stars take millions of years to form. Galaxies collide over billions. Light itself takes years to cross cosmic gaps. We are brief. Space travel exposes a truth Earth can hide. We are temporary beings in a slow universe. Our dreams are fast. Reality is not. Paradoxically, time's cruelty gives exploration meaning. The fact that we cannot reach everything makes every step precious. The moon mattered because it was hard. Mars matters because it is slow. The stars matter because they may never be reached. Limits define value. If time cannot be defeated, if speed has ceilings, if the stars remain distant, then why do we still look outward? The answer has nothing to do with distance. It has to do with identity, because the final frontier is not where we go. It is what kind of civilization we choose to become in the face of limits. Every barrier we have encountered so far seems final. Engines that cannot go faster, bodies that cannot endure forever, time that cannot be defeated. By every practical measure, humanity should have stopped dreaming of deep space long ago. And yet, we haven't. Despite the math, despite the risks, despite the silence of the stars, we keep building rockets, we keep launching probes, we keep pointing our instruments outward, not because it is easy, not because it is profitable, but because something in us refuses to stop reaching. Why explore at all? This is the question that shadows every space program, every telescope, every mission proposal. Why leave Earth when Earth already contains everything we need to survive? The answer is not survival. It is not curiosity alone. It is identity. Long before civilization, before language, Before agriculture, humans moved. They crossed rivers without knowing what lay on the other side. They climbed mountains without maps. They sailed into oceans without certainty of return. Not because they were reckless, but because stagnation was death. Exploration was not a luxury. It was how the species learned, adapted, and survived. Those who stayed behind perished when environments changed. Those who moved endured. Space is simply the newest environment calling to us. Every era believes it is nearing the end of discovery. Ancient empires believed the world had edges. Medieval maps placed monsters beyond known shores. Even in the early 20th century, some believed physics was nearly complete. Each time, reality shattered that illusion. Space does the same. Every time we think we understand our place, the universe reminds us how small our map still is. If logic alone guided humanity, space exploration would have ended after Apollo. The moon was reached, the demonstration was complete, the cost was immense, and yet stopping felt wrong. Because exploration is not about destinations, it is about momentum. A civilization that stops exploring does not remain stable. It turns inward, it fragments, it decays. History shows this pattern again and again. Space forces us to confront ourselves. When we look outward and find silence, we are left with uncomfortable questions. Are we rare? Are we early? Are we alone? The absence of answers is not comforting, but it is clarifying. It forces us to define meaning without external validation. From orbit, Earth has no borders, no nations, no ideologies, no divisions. Astronauts describe a shift in consciousness, the overview effect, a realization that humanity shares a single fragile world in a vast, indifferent universe. Space exploration does not just expand territory, it expands perspective. The technologies developed for space have reshaped civilization. Satellites enable global communication. GPS underpins modern infrastructure. Weather prediction saves lives. Medical technologies evolve from space research. Space is not a distraction from Earth's problems. It is a tool that reframes them. Civilizations rarely act on timescales longer than generations. Space forces us to think in centuries. Telescopes built today may answer questions long after their creators are gone. Probes launched now may send data decades from now. This patience is unnatural, but necessary. Space teaches us how to think beyond ourselves. Critics often ask, what do we get back? The honest answer is, not always something immediate. Exploration is an investment in capability, not profit. The return is optional. The knowledge is permanent. A civilization capable of spaceflight must learn restraint. Power without wisdom leads to destruction. Nuclear weapons taught us this lesson painfully. Space demands even greater responsibility. You cannot dominate the cosmos. You can only coexist with it. The universe has not answered us. No signals, no visitors, no undeniable proof of other minds. This silence is not discouraging. It is sobering. It suggests that technological civilizations may be rare or short-lived, which means survival itself becomes an achievement. Space exploration may not save us tomorrow, but it might save what comes after us. Archives placed beyond Earth, species preserved off-world, knowledge stored where planetary disasters cannot reach. It is not escape, it is continuity. We broadcast signals not because we expect answers, but because silence without effort feels like surrender. Sending a message says, we were here, we tried, we existed, even if no one ever listens. At its core, space exploration is not about stars. It is about meaning in a universe that does not provide it automatically. We assign meaning by choosing to care, by choosing to explore, by choosing to leave traces of consciousness where none existed before. A civilization that turns away from the unknown becomes fragile. It loses adaptability, it loses imagination, it loses shared purpose. Space gives humanity a story larger than itself. We may never reach the stars, but the act of trying reshapes who we are. A species that reaches, even unsuccessfully, is different from one that never tries. Perhaps the true destination of space travel is not another planet. It is a version of humanity that thinks beyond immediate survival, that plans across generations, that recognizes its smallness without despair. We build because stopping would mean admitting that limits define us, but limits do not define humanity. Responses to limits do. Space will not rescue us. It will not solve all problems. It will not grant immortality, but it will continue to remind us of what we are, a brief spark of awareness. In a vast, ancient universe that somehow learned to ask questions, if exploration is inevitable, if limits do not deter us, if reaching defines us, then the final question is not how far we can go. It is what survives of us when we do, because beyond engines, bodies, and time lies the most fragile thing of all, memory, legacy, and meaning. And that is where the story must end. Every journey eventually ends, not always at a destination, but at a realization. For humanity, the realization comes quietly, after the engines have been imagined, the limits measured, and the timelines stretch beyond comprehension. It is this: we may not last long enough to matter to the universe, and yet the universe may remember us anyway. The cosmos is ancient beyond intuition. Stars live for billions of years. Galaxies drift for trillions. Cosmic background radiation still echoes from the birth of everything. Against this scale, a human life is not brief, it is invisible. Civilizations rise and fall faster than a star flickers. Entire species can vanish without leaving a ripple detectable beyond their planet. The universe does not preserve biographies, it preserves patterns. On Earth, legacy feels optional. Children, buildings, books, names engraved in stone. But space strips away this comfort. A civilization that ventures beyond its planet must accept the possibility that it may not survive long enough to enjoy its achievements. And yet, it builds anyway. Why? Because legacy is not about permanence. It is about continuity of meaning. Long before interstellar probes, humans tried to outlast time through art. Cave paintings, stone monuments, buried texts. Each was an attempt to say, "We were here." Space forced us to confront the inadequacy of these methods. Stone erodes, metal corrodes, planets die. To leave a mark on the cosmos, humanity needed to think differently. In 1977, two spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, were launched toward interstellar space. Bolted to each was a gold-plated copper disc, the Golden Record. It contained sounds of Earth, wind, waves, thunder, music from different cultures, greetings in dozens of languages, images of DNA, anatomy, mathematics. It was not sent with confidence, it was sent with humility. No assumption of being found, no expectation of being understood, just a quiet offering. The Golden Record is not important because someone might hear it. It is important because we chose to send it. A species uncertain of its future decided to speak anyway. That choice reveals something fundamental about humanity. We care about being known, even if knowledge comes too late. If humanity leaves the solar system, it will not do so in fleets. It will do so in fragments, probes, signals, data streams. These are not extensions of our bodies. They are extensions of our memory. Information travels farther than flesh ever can. One day, Earth may be silent, but long after that silence, our signals will still be traveling outward. Radio broadcasts expanding at light speed. Laser pulses aimed at distant stars. Archives placed in orbit or on distant worlds. These are digital fossils. Evidence that intelligence once bloomed here. If another intelligence encounters our artifacts, they will not know our stories. They will not know our conflicts. They will not know our fears. They will not know our hopes. They will know only that a species learned mathematics, understood physics, created art, asked questions. This is legacy stripped to essentials. There is something humbling about realizing that humanity may be reduced to a single data point in cosmic history. A brief anomaly, a spark of complexity, a moment where matter became curious, not special, just rare. Legacy is not about ego, it is about connection across time. We want our existence to matter not because we are important, but because meaning feels incomplete without acknowledgement. To be remembered is to be validated by continuity. Any legacy we leave may be misunderstood, images decoded incorrectly, music perceived as noise, mathematics interpreted as threat. But misunderstanding is still interaction. Silence is not. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Legacy does not require someone to receive it. It requires someone to care enough to send it. The act itself reshapes the civilization that performs it. A civilization capable of thinking about legacy is a civilization aware of its own impermanence. This awareness changes priorities. Short-term gain loses dominance. Long-term preservation gains value. Knowledge becomes sacred. Space encourages this mindset not through hope, but through perspective. As humanity reaches outward, it begins to archive itself. Genetic libraries, cultural databases, scientific knowledge repositories. This is not fear, it is foresight. Legacy is defined not by everything we create, but by what we choose to keep. We preserve music, mathematics, language, images of life. We do not preserve weapons. We do not preserve propaganda. We do not preserve hatred. What we archive reveals what we believe matters most. A haunting question lingers beneath every archive. Are we worth remembering? The answer is not given by the universe. It is given by our actions. To leave a legacy is to make a claim. That intelligence deserves to exist. That curiosity is valuable. That understanding is worth preserving. These are moral statements disguised as scientific ones. Perhaps no one will ever find our messages. Perhaps the universe will remain silent forever. This does not diminish the act. It completes it. Meaning does not require response, only intention. There is courage in sending a message knowing it may never be answered. It is the courage of acknowledging insignificance without surrender. In the end, humanity's greatest legacy may not be technology. It may be the fact that matter once became aware enough to wonder what it meant. That atoms arranged themselves into minds that questioned their own existence. That the universe briefly looked at itself through human eyes. We are still early, still fragile, still divided, but legacy thinking changes behavior. It encourages stewardship over exploitation, perspective over panic, meaning over dominance. Even if humanity disappears, the universe will not be unchanged. It will carry faint ripples of our existence, signals crossing emptiness, probes drifting between stars, evidence that intelligence once arose here. That is enough. If legacy is what endures, if memory outlives flesh, if meaning survives without witnesses, then the final question is not about space at all. It is about how we choose to live now, knowing our time is limited and our reach is vast. That is where the journey ends, not in the stars, but in ourselves. Every journey, no matter how vast, ends at a boundary. Sometimes that boundary is a wall. Sometimes it is exhaustion. Sometimes it is understanding. For humanity's journey into space, the final horizon is not a place we can point to on a map. It is not a planet, a star, or even a galaxy. It is the moment we finally understand what the universe allows and what it does not. From the beginning, humanity's story has been one of expansion. We crossed plains, we crossed oceans, we crossed skies. Each time, the horizon retreated just far enough to tempt us forward again. Space seemed like the next inevitable step, a final frontier, an infinite canvas, a promise without limits. But the universe is not built on promises. It is built on laws. Physics does not negotiate. It does not reward hope. It does not punish arrogance. It simply is. The speed of light remains fixed. Time flows in one direction. Energy demands payment. Entropy never reverses. These laws are not obstacles placed in our way. They are the architecture of reality itself. and no civilization, no matter how intelligent, escapes them. For centuries, progress trained us to believe that every limit is temporary, that every barrier exists only until we invent the right tool. Space teaches a harsher lesson. Some limits are not waiting to be broken. They are waiting to be understood. At first, we believed distance was the enemy, too far, too empty, too vast. But distance alone does not stop us. Time does. Because distance multiplied by limited speed becomes separation. And separation is something no engine can erase. In space, cause and effect are separated by years. A signal sent today arrives decades later. A decision made now shapes outcomes we will never witness. This creates a universe where intention and consequence rarely meet. Human psychology was not designed for this. We evolved for immediate feedback. Space removes it. The stars are not unreachable because we lack courage. They are unreachable because the universe prioritizes stability over accessibility. Stars burn slowly. Galaxies evolve patiently. Cosmic structures persist across unimaginable timescales. The universe is not hostile to life. It is indifferent to urgency. If humanity ever reaches another star, it will not look like triumph. It will not be flags and celebrations. It will be machines arriving without creators. Descendants who never chose the journey, signals decoded long after their senders vanished. Interstellar travel is not heroic. It is impersonal. This realization does not cheapen space exploration. It purifies it. It strips away fantasy and leaves something deeper, a confrontation with scale. We are not central. We are not chosen. We are not guaranteed survival. We are a brief pattern of complexity in a universe that existed long before us and will continue long after. This is not nihilism. It is context. The universe does not care how small we are, only we do. And meaning does not come from dominance or reach, it comes from awareness, from the fact that for a short time, the universe has learned to ask questions about itself. The universe limits us, yet gives us awareness of those limits. It denies us the stars, yet allows us to understand them. It ensures we cannot last, yet gives us memory. This is not cruelty. It is balance. Civilizations may fall, species may vanish, planets may go dark, but knowledge, once created, tends to spread. Even if humanity disappears, the universe will be permanently altered by the fact that intelligence once arose here. That alone matters. Humanity's greatest achievement will not be reaching another star. It will be reaching understanding without despair, accepting limits without surrender, accepting insignificance without meaninglessness. Perhaps we were never meant to conquer the cosmos. Perhaps our role is simpler and rarer: to witness, to understand, to preserve, to choose meaning in a universe that does not provide it automatically. The future of space will not be fast. It will not be glamorous. It will be quiet, incremental, and patient. Probes drifting, signals listening, knowledge accumulating, a slow conversation with the universe. Because even limited beings can act with intention. Because even temporary civilizations can choose wisdom.